be going live. Hopefully, I will warn everybody while I wait to see the signal that we've gone live. I will tell you guys that today I will save you guys a lot of money. I should charge for what we're talking about today because from a high level perspective, I'm going to talk to everybody today about the insurance traps, all the ways that I see my clients having to pay for cargo claims. And it's the things I'm about to go over today are a lot easier to implement in high level. There are more traps than what I'm going to talk about today, but this episode will save you a lot of money. So pay very close attention. For those of you who are joining us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and any other app, make sure to head over to Zoom. Look for Amanda Miller. She's helping me out today. She's a broker, flatbed broker based out of Alabama, and she's helping me out today. She sends me questions if you guys have them. But you can see her in the comments, and she also has the YouTube links if you need it. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you know whenever I post content. There's about 2 years worth of content on YouTube that will save you money and help you be better. I can tell you that there's quite a bit of insurance content. So if you like this insurance topic that we're talking about today, you will like it even more, the other episodes that I have on YouTube. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up my list of things. And I'm also going to address, for those of you who did not see, I had a poll posted on LinkedIn. And I'm going to pull that up right now. And I'm going to address it right away because the poll, whenever I do these polls, I try to be tricky. And it's really mean. And I go for answers that I think will trip everybody up and make them confused. And this one was especially mean. The poll question, for those of you who didn't see it on LinkedIn, was why do shippers hate contingent cargo policies? A, too many exclusions. B, too long to pay claims. Or C, carriers have to list their VIN numbers. So, this is not a nice little pop quiz that I gave my LinkedIn followers because it's tricky. So the answer was that it's too long to pay claims. But I put too many exclusions to trick everybody. And it's not very nice that I did it, but I knew you guys would go for the bait. Indeed, there are many shippers out there who will not allow contingent cargo policies because they believe there are too many exclusions. That's not the case with cargo claim with contingent policies. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up my live feed on YouTube, and I'll tell you that I'm going to check out all the YouTube comments. So those of you on LinkedIn, make sure that you're going to YouTube. Make sure you hit that live comment button so you can make some friends. That's usually where the high comment activity ends up. We have Doug Wolf with us. We have Scott Lecter, Andrew Teal, Amanda Miller, of course. Everybody look for Amanda Miller. She's the one who has all the power. She will send me your questions if you have them. I will tell you that Eric Serta, of course, our MadGaines sheriff, of course, said, "Is it an adult day?" Yes, Eric. I had a meeting before this, so I had to dress professional. So the answer to the poll is because a lot of shippers do not like contingent cargo policies because they have to wait for the motor carrier's insurance or insurer to deny the claim, and then they turn to the broker's policy. So the broker is called contingent policy because contingent on the fact that the carrier won't pay for the claim. So you guys, this is a big trap. And there's a lot of misconceptions around contingent insurance policies. It just cracks me up how much information is out there that's not correct about insurance at all. So with regards to contingent, first of all, We're only talking about brokers and shippers. They're the ones who have contingent insurance, not carriers. So on the quiz that I put on LinkedIn, if you saw that I put something about carriers' VIN numbers, I was trying to confuse you guys. Contingent insurance is with regards to shippers and brokers only. Shippers, for some reason, they attended a conference or they read articles or something, but all of a sudden it spread like wildfire. And they all decided they didn't want brokers to hire brokers with contingent cargo policies. And there were a lot of misconceptions among them as well. There is some concern. And when I consult for shippers, I tell them that they should be careful with contingent cargo policies. But if you want a carrier, if you want a broker who has a primary cargo policy, which means that the insurance doesn't wait around for the carrier, the insurance will immediately evaluate the claim. If you want that, you have to pay for a more expensive broker because that's a more expensive policy, a lot more expensive than contingent. But just because a broker has contingent or primary cargo insurance doesn't mean that it's going to pay, period, to my shippers out there. You have to have a contract with the brokers saying that the broker has to pay. So simply because you hired a broker with a contingent insurance policy and the carrier maybe didn't even have insurance that the broker hired, that doesn't mean that now you get to file a claim against the broker's insurance. It's not a backup. You have to have that contract. And of course, everyone's going to remember that each insurance policy is different. So I'm speaking in very general terms today. So we have Brian Ritchie with us. We have Rhonda, who's in Arizona with me. We have Carrie Polson with us. So excited. Head on over to YouTube, everybody. So here is what I'm going to do that's going to save you money today. All right, listen. A big part of my job is to go into shippers and brokers and carriers, and I analyze their operations and I tell them where their biggest risks are, where they're going to lose money, because I've worked for the big guys. So I already have gone through the experience and knowing how these companies can lose money. One of the things that I do that's a service is I analyze their insurance policy and their carrier selection process, depending on who I'm working for. And today I designed this episode to hit on the top things that I see people lose money on. So I'll identify from analyzing their insurance policies, I'll identify the issues and then I'll help them with their operations. You get a little bit of that today for free. So here's the interesting thing. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pop over. Hi, Zelda. Zelda Transport is with us. John is with us and on YouTube. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up my notes that I made for you guys because this is going to be a quick episode, I think, because I think that it's going to make your brain hurt a little bit. And I want to make sure, I will give you guys time for questions. Look for Amanda Miller. She will help you with those. But most importantly, what you're going to learn today is going to be intense. Okay? All right. So here we go. Give me 1 second. When I analyze the cargo insurance policies for everybody, I made a list for you guys. Inside those policies, and I'm moving a little bit slower because what I'm going to do is on YouTube, I'm going to cut and paste right into the YouTube live comments. So please give me 1 second to pull up YouTube. And I'm going to cut and paste into the live comments the list of exclusions that I tend to see. Going in right now. All right, I just popped it into the live comments. Those of you who are listening to this, it does take YouTube, after we go live, it takes YouTube about like 12 hours to process the video. So you won't be able to see the live comments until the next day. And then you'll be able to see them all once you hit the live comment button. But I'll tell you that I have a list of commodities and what I do. And shippers, please look at those commodities, because what that means is that most cargo insurance policies from your brokers and your carriers have exclusions for those commodities. So that means that if you have a cargo claim or a stolen shipment, that those commodities might not be covered. I think you guys, what we should add to that list, and I'd be very careful if you're moving like hemp or anything like that, that I should have added that to the list. But I'm not going to tell you what the list is because I'm going to encourage you guys to go to YouTube. As you guys know, I'm really having a hard time with LinkedIn. It's very glitchy. So I'm going to push everybody to YouTube. So first, whenever we worry, and this is the most money saver moment, whenever you are going to think about cargo insurance, I want you to know there are two major things to think about. One is there are going to be commodities that are completely excluded. Two is there are going to be commodities that are limited. So let's say that you're looking at a $100,000 cargo policy. Well, there are going to be a list of commodities that there's only maybe $50,000 of coverage. So you think you had $100,000, but really you find out later on there's only $50,000. The most unfortunate part about that, by the way, is often they're very expensive commodities. So what I put into YouTube was the common exclusion. And Sharon, I just saw your exclusion as well. That's a good one you just posted. I usually put that commodity into the limited, which I'm going to do right now. Okay. I'm going to pop into YouTube, the limitations, the commodities that I often see. There's one very special one I put there for V, our normal, one of our key shippers. What I want to tell you guys is that you need to ask your insurance broker, what are my exclusions? What are my limited commodities? And then what you do with those commodities is very important. You have to communicate them to the floor, and Sharon's already on top of this. So what you're going to do is make sure that you're building shipments into your TMS and not saying general merchandise. That will save you a lot of money because then you can run reports on these commodities and you can flag them before you attach carrier to that load that might have one of these commodities. So what I'm trying to do is to save you from one of the big issues that people call me about is we had an entire truckload shipment of tobacco. Oh, Cassandra, we're a broker. We didn't even know we moved tobacco, but our reps do spot freight and they're moving so fast, they don't even know. And our insurer is saying that the carrier's insurance doesn't cover tobacco and our insurance doesn't cover tobacco. Now what? And I always ask them, well, did you sign a contract with the shipper saying that you're going to be liable? Yes, you're liable, whether insurance covers or not. And many times my carriers and my brokers will tell me we didn't know what was in the trailer. Not knowing what is in the trailer is a very high risk because whether the shipper tells you or not, insurance companies don't care. If they lied to you, if an shipper lied to you and told you it was one thing and ended up being a whole thing of TVs and you thought that it was just Nintendo games. I don't know, I just made that up. Let's move out of electronics. So you thought it was a whole shipment of TVs and you thought it was mac and cheese. You guys all know I love mac and cheese. And it really was a whole shipment of TVs. Yeah, you still have to pay if that contract with the shipper says you have to pay. That's why we're careful with our contracts with our shippers. So shippers are kind of having a heart attack listening to this a little bit because they may see their own commodities in the feed. And that's a trigger for them to be very careful and know that most brokers and carriers don't have coverage or have a lower amount. The other thing that shippers are learning today is unless they have a contract with a broker or a carrier saying that they have to pay, doesn't always mean you have to pay. So contracts are important. The other thing that I wanted to list out, give me 1 second to check and see if Amanda Miller has fed me some questions, which she has. By the way, folks, know that tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I have a cargo claims training course. It's intense. I don't sit there and drone on about the law. I've built and managed cargo claims departments. So I'm going to teach everybody who is on the course, which is in my link in the YouTube and sometimes in my description of my posts. The course is tomorrow at 2 p.m. It does cost money because it's very, 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 very valuable. I'm going to teach you how to process the claims and focus on efficiency. operations, customer service. Learn from the mistakes that I had to learn over the last 10 years. So here's the other thing that's going to save you money. Oh, hold on. Let me just look at the questions real quick. So if we're hauling Amazon and they ship excluded commodities, what's our liability? Someone asks. Great question. If you are a carrier or broker, and you, well, first of all, if you're a broker, you signed a contract with the shipper saying you're going to be liable for cargo claims, which a lot of those contracts say. It doesn't matter whether they ship excluded commodities or not, you're still paying for it. So if your insurance company denies, like you ran a whole load of TVs and you didn't even know TVs were in there, then your insurance company is like, it's an excluded commodity. Sorry. You have to pay in cash to the shipper. Carriers are in a worse spot because with or without a contract, carriers often have to pay. They're ultimately responsible for that cargo. Obviously, there are some exceptions there, but whether insurance covers or not, the carriers have to pay. To my brokers who feel relieved by me saying that, many of you have learned from me over the years, don't be relieved because many carriers don't have insurance. If they don't have insurance, even if you thought they did, you don't really care if they have it. Like if they don't have insurance, you have to end up paying in those circumstances because carriers don't have money. A lot of these carriers don't have any cash. So you're really focused on, do you have insurance coverage? Somebody else asked, the shipper's load was refused by receiving location as it was of the wrong size and the shipper tried to impose it on the broker and tried to bill them for the load. Of the wrong size and the shipper tried to impose it on the broker. Yeah, that would be confusing unless the commodity was damaged, lost, or destroyed in transportation. I don't know how they could make a broker liable for it. But I also don't know what you mean by wrong size. Like they showed up and they're like, oh, I ordered a 52 inch and these are full of 32 inches. That's something else completely. So you have to illuminate on wrong size. Okay, so let me pop over and continue my list, y'all. And I'm going to put another list in here. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to put another list right into YouTube. So if I'm moving slow, it's just because I have to cut and paste. I made these for you because I worry a lot of this stuff I catch and I try to catch and fix in operations for my clients. And I worry. One more thing, and then I'll get to questions again because I see them popping in from Amanda. I want you to also know about refrigerated, if you're running anything reefer, anything food, I want you to be incredibly careful. Be so careful. So I put a list inside of the YouTube chat, okay? I want you to ask, call before you move a load, call the insurance broker directly and ask those questions that are in there, which regarding refrigeration coverage. The main reason people call me is, not the main reason, one of the top reasons people call me, my clients, is because they had a reefer shipment and the insurance company won't cover the cargo claim. There's a whole bunch of exclusions, y'all, and you need to know about them before you move the load. So for my shippers and my brokers and my carriers, be so careful with that. So your questions are right in, your questions I want you to ask the broker, your insurance broker, not your freight broker, are right in the YouTube chat, okay? And hi, Grace. Yes, I'm doing the power button today. It's been a long day already. The other thing that I have in here for you guys, I'm going to type into YouTube again. All right. I also want you to be broker, shipper, and carrier. I want you to reach out to your insurance adjuster, and you're also going to ask them about any exclusions around theft. Unattended trailer often is not covered by insurance. So driver goes in to Walmart, comes back out, and the whole shipment's gone. And the insurance company says, well, unintended trailer is an exclusion to our insurance coverage. And you're like, how was I supposed to know that? And are you telling me that the trailer could never be left alone? That's insane. It's real. There's another one that that's like when the driver is involved in the theft, which happens frequently. And it sucks for you as a motor carrier when you didn't even know your driver was involved, or you as a broker or a shipper, and insurance is now saying, sorry, not covering. Whew. I told you this would be intense. These are a lot of things you've got to ask your insurance broker, and you've got to put into your operations and have them like on a piece of paper. And I promise you, you do this and you listen to this video and you write down these things and ask your insurance adjuster questions and make sure your sales floor knows all this stuff, you will save yourself so many headaches. I promise you. I put in my notes a side note for y'all. So I wanted you, oops, never mind. Hold on. Before I do a side note, I have another list for you. There are certain types of things that insurance companies also won't pay for. Just pop that in too. So for example, if your shipper wants to, oh, I love picking on my shippers that run clothing. If they want retail value of their clothing, like say some of it was missing or damaged, they want retail value. No, you can only go wholesale value. In fact, the insurance company won't even pay retail. So brokers, carriers, if you agree contractually for retail value in the contract, if you see that word retail and you agree to it, you have to pay it out of your pocket because your insurance won't pay for it often. So that's another one. I know, I'm like the death of insurance right now. So last thing that I'm going to pop into YouTube. Okay. So I put some extra tips for brokers and shippers because this one is often missed. If you fail to collect a carrier's insurance certificates, some insurance companies will have exclusions for that. They won't pay for many reasons, sometimes even auto claims. The other one is if you don't vet the carrier to the insurer's standards, or your contracts with the carriers or the brokers don't have specific language. So be careful of that. So that's the end of my list, okay? I wanted to make this quick and easy, and I wanted to hit on how can I save everybody like tens of thousands of dollars. At some point in time, you will come back and thank me for this video. So let me pop in and look at our questions. And actually, what I'm going to do, give me 1 second, okay? I'm going to end my streaming on LinkedIn. I'm going to only be on YouTube. So ending everything but YouTube, and I'm going to answer questions on YouTube, okay? So give me 1 second. Ending Facebook, turning off LinkedIn. Go on over to YouTube, guys. It's way better anyhow. I'm ending the Facebook and I'm ending Twitter. Now let's stay on YouTube. Hello, YouTube friends. Phew, now I don't have to watch so many apps either. So let's close this out. So much better doing it like this, okay? So let's check our questions about insurance. And as a reminder, tomorrow we have an intense cargo claims training course. You'll see it in my YouTube comments. You'll see the link for it. And I'm trying to train you all how to be really quick with cargo claims, how to get better, avoid the mistakes that everybody else has been making. Okay, give me 1 second. Amanda Miller's got some good questions lined up for me here. Okay. One person is asked, what if something gets refused for being excessively late, like a few days, but nothing is wrong with the product? Okay, this happens a lot, okay? First, we always check the contract with the customer because they may have already said something in there that the product is that you have to pay if it's a certain amount of days late. Unfortunate part about this, okay? This is a really good question. Very unfortunate part is that odds are your insurance will not pay for the cargo claim because there's nothing wrong with the product. The one thing is maybe you could find a good salvager and try to recoup your losses as much as possible, but that's a tough one. If there's nothing wrong with the product, you're gonna have a tough time with your own insurance company. And hey guys, we need to remember, we buy insurance not to use it. You buy it to get shipments from shippers, to use it as last resort, but you really should put it out of your mind and pretend you don't have it. Because then first of all, it's just like auto or home insurance. You make a claim, you're gonna be paying for that claim over the next 5 years. So it's not cool at all to make a claim on your insurance. It's hell. And it's painful the next day when the next year when they want to reassess your premium. Oh, they'll get their money. They will get it. So you're operating off, I never want to make a claim on my insurance ever, unless it's huge, big problem. That's when you make your claims. So let's keep checking. Okay. Excuse me. What about when a receiver wants the driver to disconnect from the trailer and they will move it and offload the product from it? If anything happens, the insurance cover. Great question. I think that, again, this gets into the cargo claims processing as well. But so they're tightly correlated, hence the reason I wanted to do this today for you guys. So I would say that if the driver disconnects from the trailer and the driver has to ship their consignee, sign the bill of lading, legally, the driver's done. That's it. Deuces. So if anything's wrong with the goods that happened while they were being unloaded or while the trailer is being moved around on the property after the driver is delivered, there's no insurance on that, not for the carrier or the broker. That's the shipper's problem. Let's see, what else do we have? You guys got a lot of questions today. Okay. Someone says exclusions are huge. Most of us don't want to read the fine print, so we want to get it done until it goes south. Yes, that's true. But here's the thing, is that's what you have insurance brokers for. That's why you pay for insurance. Ask your insurance brokers to do the legwork for you and tell you what the stuff is. That's the value of having a good insurance broker. Or let's see. Most of the time, many people hire me to look at it because I'll fight for what in coverage I think they need that the insurance broker wouldn't otherwise know. So someone asks, should someone immediately look over boilerplate contracts? You should always look at contracts, but it seems like many of these exclusions are in there and no one knows. I think that that's a really good point. And, many people will come to me for that kind of help after they've been burnt. Then they start looking over these boilerplate contracts that they've been signing. And I always make a comment about how when you're a young broker or shipper or carrier, you'll take on a lot of risk and you'll just sign contracts because you just got to get the business, okay? But then there's this tipping point where the risks you were able to take on, you can no longer take on. And those are my favorite clients, by the way, because they're the people who no longer can afford to have a high risk business model. They've got to reduce it because they're starting to bleed. It bleeds into their profits, cargo claims, the hostage loads, the towing companies, the shippers not paying, the cost of insurance getting higher. Let's see. Should shippers and carriers aim to resolve minor damage or losses without involving insurance? Do either shippers or carriers tend to push for claims? Okay, yes. Shippers, carriers aim to resolve minor damage or losses without involving insurance. Ooh, here's the thing. All right. From a simplistic standpoint, this question sounds simple, but it's actually not. Because tomorrow you'll learn a couple of things that I don't like with cargo claims, and I change around, trying to decide how much I want to disclose here. How about this? You should try your hardest to resolve a cargo claim quickly and without insurance companies involved. That's the best way to go about things. In the context of keeping your insurance premiums low. That's how I'm going to answer that question. For those of you who are attending my class tomorrow, you're going to get a whole nother world of things to learn about here. Let's see. All right. I think, you guys, I think I've got all the, oh, okay, here we go. Okay, shipper refused a load of watermelons for the wrong size, and the shipper tries to impose it on the broker and tries to bill them for the load. The commodity was watermelons, no damage to the load. Again, this is a tough situation, and you're working with a tough shipper. We have some shippers that part of Madtropolis, and they have claim problems, but it's interesting. You would think that shippers just want the claim paid. They just want to pay. They just want to pay. And there are some shippers out there like that, but the good shippers are going to be around for a long time. They don't do asshole stuff like this. I think that, unless there's more to the story that I need to know about, but often they're trying to be reasonable because they want you to be reasonable with them as well. They want to have a good partnership. Why I go on this rant is because no, insurance will not cover this because there's no damage to the product. So you'll be shit out of luck with insurance probably. And you'll want to salvage the watermelons as fast as possible. And you'll want to take a ton of pictures because you're going to be defending that claim for a long time. And that shipper's not going to move loads with you anymore. And you're not going to want to move loads with that shipper anymore either. Because, I mean, they want you to pay for this. You guys, sometimes shippers use us, carriers and brokers, as inventory control. Like they ordered too many watermelons and they don't want the watermelons anymore. So they're going to try to get the carrier to pay for it. Truth bomb just dropped on you guys. My class tomorrow is at 2 p.m. It does cost money. You'll see in the link in YouTube that I put in the link and how to register for it. You get handouts. We're not going to drone on about the law, folks. We need to think strategically about operations, not about the law. I think, you guys, that was everything I had. And I think that's all of the questions have been answered too. So the top things we learned today were you're in the YouTube comments, you have your exclusions you need to watch out for, your limited products you need to watch out for. If you're running reefer, I have a list of questions for you to ask insurance brokers. And I want you to worry about theft too. Those are the 4 ways that you're going to get caught up in a major claim problem that will give you a headache and you'll lose lots of money. So that's it. See, that was easy. That wasn't too bad. 32 minutes. It was a little bit intense. I think we did well. All right. I'll look forward to seeing many of you tomorrow.